I am not in Mexico, Texas, or Arizona. I am in Washington State. It is Christmas Eve. I'm here with Bob. Say hi, Bob. So just testing this out to see how YouTube Live works for future streams and things like that, and just wanted to see how you guys were doing. And so I also wanted to chat, as the title says, is this the American dream or the American nightmare? And it is seemingly very much becoming the American nightmare. Not for Americans. I mean, I guess it depends on what side of the aisle you're on or where you sit with a lot of things going on in our country. But for these people seeking the American dream, it's a nightmare. It is absolutely a nightmare. So let me tell you what I've learned. So the caravan that I was walking with for roughly, we were there for 13 days. They cleared about 120 miles, I believe, in the duration of time that we were there. They were on foot. We were in the car sometimes, but we were on foot as well. And so those folks went up towards Sonora. They stayed in the caravan in a formation, so to speak, under Irineo Mujica, who is somebody who has been apprehended in the past based on his association with caravans and basically kind of incentivizing trafficking people. So he was actually apprehended under the Trump administration and then was let out. But that was during the time that former President Trump was really putting pressure on Mexico with their immigration laws. I am in the drive-thru right now, full disclosure, so you guys are just hanging out with me. And I thought it was perfect, talking about the American dream, right? All of these things that we have at our disposal, at our fingertips, everything that we have available to us, that is what people see and think it's easy to obtain and achieve. Well, in the conversation I had with most of the migrants, let me get back, squirrel, I'm sorry. So these people were headed up towards Sonora with Irineo Mujica. Now that group of people has since kind of dispersed. They are now out on their own, and that group of people since Wednesday has been taking buses up to the southern border of the U.S. and Mexico. So those folks that I walked with that started back on October 23rd are now finally at the U.S. southern border, continuing their journey, self-surrendering or whatever they choose to do. But when they self-surrender, that is the way that they continue on in their processing so that they get either an NTA or an NTR. A notice to appear gives you about 12 to 36 months. An NTR is a notice to report. That's going to be about 30 days. And that's going to be reporting to an immigration office versus reporting to a judge, which is an NTA. And so that time frame is a little bit longer. So those folks are now self-surrendering, probably as we speak. They are probably walking across the border. And all of these places, hi Bob, all of these places that I have been, where people are crossing over, it is a stone throw away from a port of entry, from a legal entryway. My dogs know what a drive-through is, and they're getting very excited. I need you to relax, okay? Can you relax? You sit. Okay. No. Hey, go in the back. Go to the back, bud. Go. Come on. Go to your spot. Go. Bob, go. Buddy. Back to your spot. He has a bed back there and everything. He's so spoiled. Bob. Okay. So, the American nightmare. So those people that I walked with, some of them parted off earlier. A Venezuelan family that I spoke with that I'm working on a piece to put together with them, but I want to talk with them now that they are stateside. I know, sir, but we're talking to people. You got to back off. Okay? Okay? Can you relax and let me have some time? Thanks. Okay, so those people are now stateside. And why I'm saying this is an American nightmare, I need you to go to the back because you're so cute, you're distracting. Go to the back, buddy. Still, chill. It's the American nightmare because these people, there's 8 of them living in a 1-bedroom apartment that they're getting funded through a brother-in-law's friend. So, it's not even like they have a family member or a true sponsor. And they were reaching out to me kind of saying, what do we do? We don't have anybody to receive us. So they're coming over here, not even having a place to go or a sponsor family or anything. So they're coming over here And then what's happening is they have that hope and that promise, right, of the American dream. 8 people in a 1-bedroom apartment telling me they don't have a fridge, they don't have a microwave, they don't have clothes, they don't have food for the babies. Like, excuse me, what? You walked into the country, our government said, here you go, here's your processing papers. Depending on their situation, they might not be able to work at all. Likely, if they're waiting for an asylum claim, can't work. They did extend the visas for working visas, which is a good thing. They cleared about 22,000 of those. So those are available, but that's not what these people are seeking. These people, for the most part, are seeking asylum and refuge in the U.S. Most of them do have economic asylum claims, which means they just want to work in the U.S. to have a better life. Well, if they can't work, that means they're working under the table, right? That's duh. We know they're going to try to work to get money. I'm just going to say it right now. I've got some of them that I've given my card to that are asking me for money and need help. They need help. This is on our government, right? And on their governments. These people don't have anything. And then so I told them, I go, hey, here's the charity that's in Oklahoma. Here's the place that you can go that might be able to help you. They call and they tell me that they don't speak Spanish, so they can't get any help. So these people are sitting in Oklahoma, not able to work. They don't have food. They don't have clothing. The one family that I talked to after Del Rio, they went to Orlando, and they said their family was the person that received them, but the family didn't have room for them, so they were staying in a hotel for a few days. And the woman said, I would way rather be underneath that bridge in Del Rio because at least we know we have resources. That's literally where we're at. Where women were giving birth in the dirt. People are in the U.S. thinking, hey, we're going to have these opportunities or whatever is being told to them. And I've been saying this from the jump, you guys are being sold a bag of goods. There's nothing here. I mean, they've got to get connected to somebody to help them out with state programs or whatever it is if they're going to get state help. They can't even find someone to help them. Our government literally kicks them out into the interior of the U.S. with no plan, you can't speak the language, and especially if you're going to Middle America, dude, Oklahoma does not speak the Spanish. This is insane to me. This is insanity to me. And so I wanted to come on here and just kind of talk to you guys about that, about, that American dream, that, let's see. Oh, yay, I just turned on my live chat. My friend Tom said he's eating the world's best chocolate chip cookies. If they're not from my sister, the Hedge Oven, then are they really, Tom? Yeah, hit that like button. Let's get more people on this because I want to start streaming here because Facebook and Instagram have been messing with me and my feeds. So I would like to stream here. So, any Hoosiers, how do they expect to come to America with no money? Good question. Because they're being told a lot of things. Word of mouth is a powerful tool, even more powerful than Snapchat and all those things in WhatsApp. And guess what? They all have that too. They all prioritize their phones. They have their phones with them. Every place that we stopped, they found an electrical source. They were charging, I think it was 10 cents an hour for a phone charge, okay? They prioritize their phones. So they've got phones. They all watch my live stream. They're watching my live stream right now, for real. So they know that Biden was considering $450,000 for families separated at the border. They know about the state programs and benefits and federal programs that are in place. They're not dumb. When I sat down with a Cuban family, they literally said they want the benefits of the U.S. One Nigerian man telling me, Mexico didn't take care of us. And I said, so you want to go to the U.S.? And he said, yes. Surely it must be different. That's what they're being told. I've been saying this. They've been sold a bag of goods that they think they're going to come in and get money or whatever. And some people are telling me that they are getting $400 here and there or whatever from an NGO. Or I got to infiltrate that and figure that one out because Border Patrol is telling me that they have not seen that. And I've got sources in Border Patrol, like good sources. And also, guys, holy, wait for this one. I've got several retired Border Patrol agents that are getting ready to go on camera and on record. I'm going to head to Texas in the coming weeks for that one, and I can't wait. You guys are going to be here for my order. It's going to be really exciting. But Bob thinks he gets to order too. Come on. Okay. What are we having, Bob? You guys are going to laugh.
Welcome to McDonald's. How can I take your order?
Hi there. Can I just get a large root beer with extra ice, please?
Okay. Anything else for you?
Nope, that's it.
That'll be $1 for the first one now.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Yay. You guys. Ooh. Root beer is life. Root beer is life. I don't even get fast food. I just get the root beer. Okay. So this literally what I've been saying is that they are sold this bag of goods. They, honest to God, think, okay, you know, Mr. Biden is a good man. That's what they've said. They had the flag that said Joe Biden is for all. And, you know, it's if that's the case and they're going to come over here and our administration is going to allow it, then by all means. No one is saying that immigration should not be happening, but everyone's saying it should be happening on a legal platform, an illegal space, and this isn't legal, and this is becoming a space that is legal, right? So we've got the like legally illegal, and then we got the illegal. Okay, let me explain this. So both of these ways are illegal when you can touch the port of entry, right? Okay, first of all, there is a port of entry right next to all of these crossings that these people are walking across, just so you know. When I go back, I'll try to make that more clear. I'll show you. I will drive and walk how close it is. These people could be doing this in a more legal way, right? But they're being told, hey, walk across, go this way, here's where you go. Literally, they're being told where to go, where the cartel is not. Go to Ciudad Acuña, go right across to Del Rio. Literally, you guys, they've told me this. That's no longer speculative. From me, I'm telling you, I have learned this. And I know this. Okay, so good luck concentrating on me while Bob is sitting there. So, legitimately, they think this, and it's wild to me because they're coming over here. Again, if it's going to happen, then okay, you got to equip these NGOs, or you got to get them to point C instead of just point B and leaving them out to be in the abyss. Like, these people are literally out with nothing. Again, I'm being asked to have, you know, for money for food and for diapers for a baby. Hi. Sorry, guys. You're just here for this. This is probably what would get me the most views. There's Bob's tail wagging in the background. So, but it's just, I mean, the situation right now is impossible because what they're doing right now, but by way of immigration reform, because even our, thank you, even our DHS secretary has said our immigration system is broken. Thank you, Merry Christmas. Okay, receipt at the second window, Bob. You have to get back to your spot here pretty soon. Danger, danger. Yay! Thank you. Thank you. Merry Christmas. Okay, go to your spot, Bob. Go to your spot. Sorry. Bye. Okay. It happens every time. Bob honks. Bob honks at wherever we are. Okay. So I'm going to keep live, but I'm not going to be looking at you. You guys will be fine. I can continue to talk and live stream. You know, we're not children, but I'm not going to be addressing you or reading comments. Because safety first, then teamwork. We're heading up to Oso right now to deliver gifts and then go spend time with my mama. We're in a parking lot. I know, it is bigger than me. Large root beer. Extra ice, baby. That's the move. That's the move. Okay. So, back to the business. Back to the things. So the things that they have done, I'm at a red light, y'all. I'm going to be safe while driving so I can talk to you. So the things that they have done by way of immigration reform, as I mentioned, DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas even said after Del Rio, our immigration system is broken. I don't think anybody disagrees with this. This has been something that has been a political football for 4 decades. This has been something I often say this. I really, really wish that former President Obama would have just fallen on the sword and done something and fixed immigration. But the problem is, no political figure will. There's hair everywhere. No political figure will, because it is such a divisive issue, and no matter what anybody does, it's going to isolate a group. It's going to isolate one side of the aisle. And that's something that neither side is willing to do. Trump was, of course, willing to do some things that obviously outraged the other side of the aisle. I don't know if it's because of the policies or the person, honestly, because a lot of some of the things that he did were policies also in place under the Obama era. So very interesting to see the political space here. But again, at the end of the day, these are human beings' lives. These are human beings used as currency. The Venezuelan family that I talked to when they walked through the Darien Gap, which is the landline, the only landline connecting South and North America. You have to cross through that if you are not lucky enough to take a plane like some people were. So these people walked through the Darien Gap, right? And there was a point when they told me their story and they said, that's when we knew we were currency. And that is, they know that they're being used, you know, and what we need to understand is, when I was saying there are two different types of like legalities here, there's three, okay? There's three. There is the legal way to do it, which is cross through a port of entry and be apprehended. Well, I guess there's 4 ways. So, Phyllis, no. Going through the citizenship process would be the first and most legal way. That is the legal way. Then there would be the way to go through an actual port of entry. Then there would be the way of just walking through holes in a wall and putting your hands up to border agents and saying, we're here, process us. Then there is the evading law enforcement altogether. And we're seeing all of that. Well, we're seeing 2 of those things. We are seeing a huge influx in unique encounters, that's what they call it, at the southern border. What's really interesting, though, is this little happy nugget that I discovered. So CBP has their own apprehensions that they do, which is Customs and Border Protection, which is the federal entity. Okay, so Customs and Border Protection had 173 apprehensions, unique encounters last month. For the month of November. The month prior was down a little bit, 164, I believe, something like that. So we're seeing the numbers kind of go back up. But here's the thing. Texas DPS, or Department of Public Safety, is doing something called Operation Lone Star, something that was put into place in March by Governor Greg Abbott. And it's basically their own way of what they say securing the border. And we know Governor Abbott started putting up their own Texas wall as well. The Biden administration kind of coincidentally a couple days later said, oh, we're going to fill in the gaps in the wall too, using the Trump era materials, etc., etc. Okay, so when you've got, you know, these people that are coming across, okay, DPS numbers first. So DPS numbers are separate. They're a separate entity. It's a state agency. So I got these numbers and I was like, are these numbers included in the southern border numbers that our press secretary talks about when people ask? They're not. So I'm like, well, how many do you guys have, you know, monthly? How many apprehensions, things like that? I mean, when I did the math on it, they have thousands that aren't being counted. At least 7,000, I believe, a month that they're apprehending. And so that's not part of the numbers at all, nor has it been since they've expanded, which I just think is really interesting. So we've got federal numbers and we've got state numbers, and I will do my very best to include those numbers moving forward. Again, and I think a big part of that is not because the administration is hiding things. To be clear and full disclosure here, a lot of local entities and agencies, no, you cannot come up here. A lot of agencies and entities are not able to apprehend or do any kind of interaction with the illegal immigration situation. That has always just been the federal side, has always been Customs and Border Protection. So when Governor Abbott expanded Operation Lone Star, they now are apprehending and charging for criminal trespassing. So that could be why Texas has numbers that are outside of the federal numbers. I'll reach out to Arizona after the holidays and see what their situation is too. The mayor in Yuma is open to doing a Zoom interview with me. So we'll be doing that in the coming days. And we'll be talking with Lieutenant Oliveras from Texas DPS about stats and things like that. And we're working on a piece for Brandy Cruz that I did and am doing about how I was embedded with Texas DPS and their operations to apprehend people. So going into those apprehensions now, when I said there are a couple of different ways to do this immigration. There's dog hair everywhere in my car, I'm sorry. So we've got a lot of folks right now who are self-surrendering. It's what I have been seeing the majority of. It is what these caravans are doing. It is what most of these migrants are doing. Self-surrendering at the border, the gaps in the border, okay? Now, what I witnessed for the first time my last trip was the illegal side of this. Human trafficking, human smuggling, okay? So these are the people that are trying to outright evade law enforcement, okay? We know there are several different ways to come across the border right now. So why are they going the back door, like the locked back door? You know what I mean? Because we got people coming through the side door over here. But we got these people like picking the lock, right? Running through ranches, having big implications for the communities there. And I think it's interesting because we as a society outside of the border communities have dismissed a lot of what ranchers and agriculturalists and things like that are dealing with along our southern border, because we're like, they deal with this all the time. Texas deals with immigration. They're used to it. They know this happens. My dog rolls down his own window, by the way, and he's about to do it right now. So bad. So, anyways, sorry, I got a little sidetracked there. But, you know, at the end of the day, oh my God. Okay. This is legitimately my life. I am a dog mom, and that is my life. So, she can't see out of the... She's too little, guys. She has to be up here. And if you guys want to be mad, go ahead and be mad. If we get in a car accident, we're all going. We are all out, you know? It all sucks, no matter what. Okay, so going back to the illegal crossings. So these folks, and it was weird because I was talking to Lisa Connolly, who is a ranch owner, and they own about 10,000 acres in Bracketville. 10,000 acres is very normal in Bracketville in Kinney County. Some ranches in the Del Rio sector are 40,000 acres. So that's a very normal sized ranch, and it is something that has been in their family for 100 years. So just be mindful of that. Like, people hear 10,000 acres and they're like, oh, they must be, they don't need any help. Serves them right. No. This is their livelihood, and their entire life is their ranch. And I'll tell you what, when I was just sitting down there, her son was like, I got to go fix a cut water line. I've got to go do this. They cut water lines because they need water. They will cut electrical, power sources because they're trying to charge their phone. They will do certain things. There have been vehicle thefts. The sheriff was telling me vehicle thefts are way up in Kinney County as well. So there's all these different issues, but this wasn't always an issue for them. Lisa was telling me that in the past, they would see 5 to 6 migrants illegally on their property, a year. They would leave out canned food, they would leave out water, they would leave out some things to help them out a little bit, because it wasn't normal, but it was normal. Now they're seeing like 5 to 6 a day, okay, and they're coming up to their house. One family had somebody come right to their front door and ask if they could charge their phone. And so this is a very real situation for these ranchers. Lisa is a former school teacher, and she plays the organ at her church, and she's now packing a pistol on her hip every time she goes outside to feed her dog. You know, I'm getting text messages from her saying, our big dog is lighting up right now. Texas DPS must be they must be nearby. These are the real issues that they're dealing with right now. And so Lisa and her family, they agreed with Texas DPS to allow, with Operation Lone Star, to have cameras put up throughout their ranch. So now Texas DPS has done this throughout several ranches. Countless cameras are put up throughout ranches because it's impossible to find people, to know when people are on your property when you've got that many acres, right? And it's so, I thought we got people running around easy peasy to find them. Oh, no. I went up in the sky, man, with thermal technology, heat seeking, all this stuff. That brush is insane. So they've got cameras all throughout their ranch. And what happens there is those cameras will ping and the state enforcement will get alerts that there are people on the ranch land that aren't, you know, they're the typical ranchers. And they'll call and say, hey, is this you, and confirm or whatever. And then if there's a bunch of people on the ranch, Lisa will get a call saying, hey, lock your doors, shut the windows, turn the lights off, hide in your house. Basically, not like, you know, someone's going to come in and hurt you, but your house is a beacon, right? They're looking for something. And so there's a chance they could come to your home. And so they're worried, right? And that's not something anybody in America should ever have to fear. Because again, these are the ones that aren't going right next to the port of entry. They're not crossing at the wall. They're crossing in different points, and they're all dressed in black, and they've got carpet on the bottom of their shoes, and they're doing what the coyotes and the smugglers tell them to. And then there's that criminal element that they're tied to once they get into the U.S. Because ain't nobody getting smuggled into the U.S. for free, man. You might walk across in a place that Cartella is not, like maybe in Acuña, where Del Rio, it's kind of like an open door right now. But you're not getting smuggled in. Like, you're not getting brought in through the ranches, you know, for free. And so what does that mean? You know, we have to think about that. And these people don't have money. Like I said, I'm literally getting messages asking, can you help me with food for my kids, you know? Those real situations. So that's what I'm saying. It's becoming the American nightmare. And so we've got thousands of people, you know, there's, I think like 11,000 since March maybe that DPS alone has nabbed from these ranches. But it's just, the numbers are so staggering and so much higher than they used to be. And for some reason, our country is still denying this as any kind of issue whatsoever. And so I just think that it's one of those things that we need to continue to have conversations about, because these are very real people, and they are being told that this is the way to come across. For some reason, you know, even when I asked, you know, well, do you think what you're doing is illegal with the migrant caravans? They were saying, well, it's it's legally illegal. We're not trying to hurt anybody, and we're called to do this, or this is our only option, or whatever it might be. But a lot of them truly believe that this is their option, and we haven't really proved them wrong, right? We haven't really. They've seen the news. They've seen how easy it is. I have one guy who's talking to me who has friends in Florida who are telling him, hey, now is the time. It's easy to come in right now, go in this way, do this. And those are American citizens, right? So you've got a multifaceted issue here. Again, nobody's denying that people deserve a better life and deserve a chance at freedom and what we have in America. But there is a huge backlog of people that are trying to do it legally. And so what does that mean? You know, when I was talking to one of the sheriff's majors in Arizona, he was talking about, you know, what's the point of the legal process at all if these people are basically sitting there at a standstill, frozen, not being able to be united with their families or what it might be, because all of these people are being processed and clogging up a system. You know, I mean, it's almost comical, right? You know what? Might as well throw away your process papers and just go over there and try and walk across. Those people, you know, the ones that are doing it legally would have a quicker process time. One guy that I talked to in Yuma, Venezuelan guy, he already cleared. He's in. And I haven't even been home for, 2 weeks? So he's COVID positive. So he's quarantined in a hotel in Phoenix. You know? So that's where we're at. We've got people coming in. Single adult male. He's a guy who has he has a trade. He's a lawyer. So maybe that's why. But he texted me or messaged me because I gave some people who speak English my card. So we can have these conversations. It's very important. So he messaged me and says, I'm free. And like, that's it. Like, that's where we're at, right? Couple weeks, walked across, self-surrendered, gets in, COVID positive, is quarantining for till January 4th or something in a hotel in Phoenix. I'm free. That's the system right now. Okay, so why would we expect any different? Why would we expect people to follow the rules? Why would we? That's literally what's being told to them as the option right now. They know the rules, but they're starting to believe that these are the rules. That's how to do it. We're not proving them any different. Why would they do it any other way? That is the problem, okay? So let's break down immigration reform, what we've dealt with so far, okay? So there are some things that our administration has done that we have had many conversations about, that we have looked at as kind of solutions. Even when I talked with Kinney County Attorney Brett Smith, he was telling me those work visas, those were really good and really vital to the success of immigration in our country, because people were able to work in the U.S. and send money back to their families. Bingo! That's the conversation. 90% of migrants told me that the reason is for them being in the U.S. is that they want to work to send money to their families. Good. Let's allow that. Let's allow that. Okay, so we have extended the work visa. I think they've cleared about 22,000 more. 6,000 are set aside specifically for Haitian migrants, I believe. So that is something they're doing. Okay, Mexico's government ain't helping at all. We'll go into that next, but they are not doing us any favors at all. Immigration reform. Okay, so we've extended the visas. Okay, we got that. MPP, Remain in Mexico policy. Some people are being turned away, remain in Mexico. You know, they have to be basically from Mexico. Most of the people crossing at the gaps in the wall, not from Mexico. They're from the Triangle countries, Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador. Obviously, we've seen several other nationalities. We've seen Haitian, we've seen Uzbekistan, a lot of different nationalities. We've had 160 come across this year alone, okay? So for the most part, though, it's the Triangle countries. Mexico, though, a lot of the Mexican nationals are the ones that you see running through the ranches and things like that, because they are most likely going to be turned back. Those ones are the ones that are going to be kind of instantly turned away because they are Mexican national. So the MPP policies is kind of also lip service. It's comical. In the Yuma sector, they get, I think, 10 a day that they can send back under the Remain in Mexico policy. Del Rio sector, they have 8 stations and 1 processing center. They get 30 under MPP. So kind of a joke, okay? Kind of a joke. And that's not even something the Biden administration wanted to be in place. They're actively working to get it overturned, and they said that they will continuously try to get that out of legislation. So that's one thing. The Title 42 health code, that's not really doing a lot either. Border Patrol agents tell me that they're being nice by saying that at least 50% of the people are staying. At least 50% of the people are staying, minimum. So if we look at, if you look at that, 1.7 million people crossed last year. If at least 50% of people are staying, that's a pretty sizable number. But we know that's being kind. We know that it's more than 50% of people that are staying. So, we've got all these different issues, this multifaceted problem here. We've got MPP, we've got Title 42, we've got those different things. So what else has DHS done by way of immigration reform? Another thing that they have done is they've waived the reapplication process for some of the working visas. So if you are a person who is already in the States with an HB2, I believe, or H2 visa, you do not have to reapply to have it extended, because part of that is because the system is so backlogged. They want to free up some of that space. So that allows those people to stay and work without having to go through an extra process. So that kind of helps. Now, when you look at things that are hindering the border security or national security, if you will, so border agents have gotten very frustrated. I have some who are leaking photos and information to me very regularly because they are so fed up, saying that what's happening in the border processing facilities is a major cover-up and massively corrupt. So we're taking it a little bit easy right now because we put out some information and then they got a slap on the wrist. They got an email sent out basically saying no more leaking to the media. So we've got to kind of pull back a little bit and be smart about how we approach it moving forward. But yeah, they got in trouble for talking. So, but there's a lot of them that are very fed up. So every single one that I've talked to that I've encountered, number one, they're not allowed to go on record with the media ever. I have not met one who is willing to talk on camera. They do have a PIO who's never available. I send emails and try to get information here and there. But at the end of the day, they're not able to talk to us, period. And so they'll give us information off the record, and then we can kind of go and chase that lead and figure it out. But at the end of the day, they're all saying their hands are tied. They're like, we can't do our jobs at all. There's not anybody manning the border. We're all tied up processing. And that's not what they signed up for. They didn't sign up to sit and process people illegally coming into the country and not even being able to confirm names and identities, because a lot of them are ditching their identities at the border crossings, because if you don't have an identity, you don't have an identity. There's no way to prove it. We don't have any databases from any of the triangle countries, even though we fund them. That's, I think, step number one. Step numero uno. Let's get the databases, the criminal databases from Honduras, El Salvador, Guatemala. If we're going to kick them $3 million, or whatever it is, $30 million over the next 5 years, let's hold some people accountable, okay? So, border agents are mad. They feel like their hands are tied because one of the things that DHS has done since the conversation surrounding that $450,000 basically reparations for families that were separated at the border. My bad. Now the AC's on to keep us on the stream. I'm so sorry, you guys. Okay, so in response to the reparations conversations of $450,000, basically DHS came out and said border agents have to assess their situation as to not cause any trauma to the individuals who they are approaching or having conversations with or whatever, interacting with. They have to assess the situation for trauma. Like that, you could argue any interaction with a law enforcement individual could be traumatic. Am I wrong in that? Like, people watching, am I wrong in that? You could get pulled over and be traumatized. Like, and you were speeding and it's your fault, right? So now these border agents basically have to just be like, come on in, come on down, okay? That's also in response to what we saw in Del Rio, okay? We saw in Del Rio, y'all remember the Cowboys, okay? Which the Cowboys and their split reins, y'all remember that? And y'all remember how imperative it was for DHS to launch an investigation into migrants being whipped by Border Patrol agents, which we know isn't true because we saw the video. We heard from the photographer himself saying no contact was ever made, etc., etc. DHS said it was going to take a couple of days. After about 3 weeks, they go, we don't want this anymore. Oh, yeah, by the way, President Biden said those agents will pay. So divide nation, when there was not even an investigation started yet at that point. So DHS kicks the investigation back over to Customs and Border Protection. So it's now an internal investigation. We are still waiting to find out what happens. We all know nothing happened. So guess what's going on now? I think it's 11 Haitian migrants are suing the Biden administration, including Customs and Border Protection, DHS, et cetera, obviously federal entities. They are suing the Biden administration for their treatment during the Del Rio crisis. They are suing for the way they were treated. The one gentleman in the blue shirt, who's pictured and all, where the border agent's holding onto his collar, he said that was the most embarrassing moment of his life. The next most embarrassing moment of his life is when he was being handcuffed and told to go back to Haiti. So legitimately, they're suing Border Patrol agents now. You know, like, that's not a fix for immigration. So those are a couple of things that are what they're doing for immigration reform. Meantime, you got people like Irineo Mojica, who's down in Tapachula with a caravan saying, nobody knows what they're doing. The Biden administration has no clue what to do with immigration. And Kamala Harris is literally the border czar. She was tapped to handle this situation. And we haven't seen anything from her on the border outside of her showing up basically to Guatemala, whispering, hey, don't come. You know, they said it very loudly in their campaign, basically, that we were campaigning on asylum promises and refugee, you know, wishes. And then they go to these countries and they go, oh, don't come. Excuse me, ma'am. Do you know that a lot of these people are on their journey for months before they even heard you say don't come? I mean, that's a thing. And also, she went to El Paso, where every single law enforcement individual, their brains were scrambled eggs, because they were like, why is she in El Paso when nothing is happening in El Paso? So there's a lot of frustration. You know, the sheriffs, I believe it's the Western Sheriffs Association, has literally put out a call for Mayorkas to resign, because under a vote of no confidence, the Sheriffs Association is saying, out, you've got to go. So they don't believe that he is taking care of national security, that our borders are secure. Every person that I've talked to is like, this has not slowed down. This is not stopping. This is problematic. Obviously in Yuma, the mayor there declared a local emergency. We saw in Del Rio, the mayor there had to declare a local emergency. In Texas, there's a state of emergency across the entire state, right? They did ask the Biden administration, though, for a federal state emergency, and that was denied. And that is why Governor Abbott basically said, okay, well, we're going to go at this alone, and have expanded Operation Lone Star, has started building the Texas wall, and they do have a website that shows their progress and everything if you guys want to look. But the Texas wall they've gotten donations and things like that, and it's state funded. They have, I believe, 54 million that's been donated. A big chunk of that comes from some Wyoming guy, Wild. But a big conversation about that was, you know, and reading, so the Trump wall is starting to be put back up. And I posted some stuff about the piles of steel that were just sitting out in the desert, literally collecting cobwebs and dust. And so that is something that's bought and paid for, right? So they are going to be filling the gaps. That is something that the administration talked about back in March and April. They were talking about filling the gaps because of flooding, different things like that, kind of more environmental reasons. No, and so now they are kind of restarting that project. Obviously, you know, not going to come out and say they're not saying it's because of the what they call irregular immigration, but more so environmental concerns with the border wall. So it's really interesting, because in the articles that I've read about them resuming the Trump wall, it's interesting because they talk a lot. It depends on what organization you read from, obviously, but CNN talks very heavily about these landowners whose property was seized to build the wall. I'll tell you one thing, my friends, something that I have learned by talking to Texans and talking to ranch owners. They didn't have to seize anything. They were, a lot of them, and I can't say 100%, but when I go back down there, I'm going to try to feel it out. A lot of them were willing to give that up. They don't want what's happening. They don't want Galveston police living on their ranch. They don't want this. They don't want Texas DPS running through their ranch, apprehending runaways and God-known getaways in the middle of the night. This isn't something that they want. So when Lisa and I were talking, she was saying that every rancher has been on board except for one guy, and he's not a Texan. So we were kind of talking about that, thought that was interesting. But you know, it's just, to me, the reason I bring that up is just how apparent it is when you read articles and you read things, what side that we're looking at, right? Because, you know, Fox News is going to report it. They're going to talk about, you know, the wall is going up amid a big surge of illegal immigration, and we're seeing this crime up and la 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 la, right? It's going to focus on that. This one's focusing on the negative impact to landowners, whereas Fox News would look at this is how landowners would be helped, right? So that's why I bring that up. It's just to know what sources you're reading at all, you know, all the time, and read a couple would be my encouragement. You know, it's not, I wouldn't say turn off the news. I think it's really important to be educated, and I cannot be on every single story possible. I share some stuff, you know, on my Facebook and as much as I can, but right now I'm kind of, you know, instead of being a jack of all trades and a master of none, I'm kind of learning the most I can about immigration, and then we'll hit the ground on homelessness and things like that later on. But a lot, you know, we've covered a lot in this conversation, and there is a lot still to cover. And, you know, I really would like to get to Oklahoma and have a conversation with this family about how their process was. Who paid for this? You know, because some of them, from what I'm learning, it's something like this. These people are getting up to the border. Border Patrol takes them in and processes them, and then sends them to the NGO or wherever their person is. So they have to have a person to receive them. It can be anybody though. Like these families are like, it's my brother-in-law's friend, right? And so then they owe their brother-in-law's friend. They like don't even know this person, right? And so they'll owe that person when they start working. Things like that. Now, are there deep-seated things like, you know, politicians entrenched in this somehow in the NGO way of things? Maybe. You know, the NGO I talked to in Yuma, they only started in 2019 because of the pandemic, and because they needed a space to be able to process migrants, and because that's when the surge, when they kind of started really seeing people come in at higher numbers. And so they told me that they are not getting any federal funding, but they are actively seeking reimbursement from FEMA. So they will, and they have every intention of getting federal funding, which is, of course, taxpayer dollars, which is, of course, your money, my money, all of the things. So we are paying for this, right? But again, this is what I need to make like abundantly clear to people. These NGOs, is there some corrupt something going on at some of them? Probably, maybe, I don't know. But here's what I will say. The one in Yuma has an agreement with Border Patrol. Border Patrol kicks out some people to them, you know, a couple busloads every day so that they process them. Well, this NGO, just like a homeless shelter, isn't just going to allow these people to die, isn't just going to allow these people to walk into the interior going, Alan, Joyce, where do I go? Like, what are you gonna, are you serious? They have to do something. Everyone's really mad about these NGOs, and I get it. But what do you want to happen? It needs to stop before they get to the NGOs if you're going to be mad. So write to your local lawmakers, because legitimately the NGOs are the ones testing them for COVID, are the ones offering the vaccine, are the ones making them quarantine in hotels. Because I'm going to tell you what, Border Patrol ain't. Border Patrol's like, here you go. Go out into go. Now, they do try to make them have a sponsor or have a family that they're meeting up with or whatever it is. But legitimately, I'll just roll this window down again. But legitimately, it needs to stop before it gets to that point. Because again, these people aren't going to not be human. They're not going to just go, okay, good luck. Go walk around and run amok. That's not gonna, so what do we want to happen, right? Like, that's what we need to conversate about, is You know, do they need to be privately funded only and not be getting reimbursed from taxpayer dollars, or what does that look like? You know, I don't know. But again, the administration that's in place, regardless of what you believe, is in place. And it was good, bad, or indifferent if you believe or not. It is in place and you voted for it. So the only way to make noise is to say we voted for this administration and we don't agree with what you're doing. You know? Things like that. Because being mad at journalists for not telling people to go back, things like that, I'm not ever going to do that. You guys know me. I'm always going to show both sides, and I'm always going to show the human side as well. And I'm going to tell you this, it's been really, really difficult for me since being back stateside to show you the human element of the migrants and their situation, because when they get over to the States, from what I've noticed, when I was walking with the caravan, a lot of them were really open to talking. A lot of them wanted to share their story, and a lot of them wanted to share their struggles and their hopes. Now when they get over stateside, a lot more is buttoned up. They don't share as much information. We don't have as much access. So I really do want to go back, and one of my amazing followers and supporters is sending me a translator. So I'm learning as much as I can to speak Spanish, and I'm doing an okay job, but I need to know more, right? I need to understand the other parts, not just where are you coming from, who did you travel with, where are you hoping to go, how did you travel, etc. I want to know who paid, right? Who helped? Who's been involved in their process and things like that. And I don't know all of that yet with my Spanish. So when I go back down, I will be making it a priority to have more of those conversations, and also to talk to more ranchers and things like that. So we are going to be going back down soon. I am going to be working with Texas DPS as well when we go back down. So it'll be interesting. But again, you know, all of the sheriffs still telling me it hasn't been slowing down. Sheriff Joe Frank in Del Rio, he's, you know, in Valverde County, he's saying, you know, it's manageable there. But, you know, we still got people sitting outside of Stripes, hanging out, waiting for rides, you know, so manageable. I don't know, man. You know, we got problems. And again, the fact of the matter is this: there's no way to identify, you know, these people, and they're not all criminals. Like, that is just ignorant to assume that, or to say that, or to act like that. That is just stupid. But, Bob, no. But I will tell you this. Statistically, my friends, when you have that many people, 1.7 that we know about, okay? There's known gotaways, and then there's the gotaways that we don't see. Statistically, out of 1.7 million people, you're gonna have one or two that aren't the greatest, that don't have the best intentions. You just are. Doy. So yeah, to say they're all criminals and bad hombres, heck no. Stop that right now. Knock it off. That's ignorant and stupid. But to say that there are no bad guys in these groups, that's ignorant and stupid. Knock it off. We need to know who's coming into our country, period. Every other country does. Every other country cares. Every other country has documents. There should be no reason that's not allowed. There should be no reason why, if Joe Smith from Venezuela doesn't have documents, that we can't call up Venezuela's interior and say, hey, we got one of your guys. Is this Joe Smith? And they go, yeah, that's Joe Smith. Okay, thanks. Like, what's the problem? And how is it offensive or racist or derogatory or wrong to have someone's identity that has an intention or goal of residing in your country? And when did we get there? When did we get to a point when it was offensive to ask for someone's identity walking across a river through a hole in a border wall? Well, how did we get there? Because you and I are fully okay and capable and willing to show our identity. We know we got cameras there. We don't care. We live in America. We travel. We know the rules, and we abide by the rules. So how did we get here? How did we get to a point where it's wrong to identify someone? Literally identify them, not even track them, identify them. But here is what I will tell you. You want to talk about inhumane? We give them ankle bracelets and tracking devices, but we don't need to know their identity, or hey, we don't need to give them pregnancy tests or COVID tests or anything. But here's a tracking device so that we know where you are. We don't know who you are. Like how? I don't know. But to me, y'all, it's confusing. Doesn't make sense. I like things to make sense. I like them to make sense because that is importante. I mean, shoot. If we can't get there at this freaking day and age, you guys, just ask the questions. Just ask the questions, and I'll do my best to ask them for you as well. So, but yeah, a lot going on with immigration. It is ongoing, never ending. But again, super jazzed because these border agents are going to talk to me. You guys, it's wild, like wild. We might get some real stuff because these guys know, and they're going to confirm. Yeah, we don't get their identities. Yeah, we don't know what happens to the unaccompanied minors. Yeah, we don't have any of X, Y, and Z. It's going to be super interesting. So we're thinking after the first of the year. Praying on that one. Because again, this guy's like, I'm fed up. So, that's literally where we are. Okay, don't get stressed out. Don't get mad. I'm in the cemetery right now, so there's no one around. That's why I'm reading comments. Let's see. Sorry, just reading through some comments here. Yeah, so I should download a translator on my phone. The problem is whenever I'm live streaming and stuff like that, I need my phone, and that makes it hard. So that is something I've been thinking about, but it makes it a little bit tough. So Pam was saying, we have children and vets living on the street, kids living in cars. Like, that's very, very real and very, very true. And I will tell you this, there is a facility in San Antonio that is a military veterans facility that actually started helping migrants in 2012. And I will tell you this though, when I saw that, you know what, help whoever you want, but when I saw that they're a military veterans facility and that they took in some of these people that I walked with, I'm not even gonna lie, I got a little bit frustrated because I was like, we have so many military vets, like homeless, right? It's a tough one. So I'm at the cemetery because whenever I come to Arlington, I come to see my pop-pop. So I'm gonna go visit my pop-pop now and have a little cry and listen to a little song with him, and then we're gonna be on our way. But I think this was a solid little live stream chat. Thank you guys so much. Wow, we talked for like an hour. I talked at you. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. Get another phone. I know. Maybe I need a second phone because I only have one and I don't want people to know my private number. So maybe. So yeah. Okay, my friends. Thanks so much for joining. Have a beautiful day. Merry Christmas to you and yours from me and mine. Here's the other one. Come here, squirrel. That's the other one. She's the furry squirrel. Okay. Bye. Merry Christmas.